Welcome back to the Wall Street Podcast. Today we're doing a deep dive into a Goldman Sachs research report that just dropped yesterday, September 15th. It's titled Nuclear Nuggets. A flurry of headline catalysts underscore ongoing strength across value chain by CCJ US.
That's right. And this report, it really analyzes some key developments that are building momentum in the nuclear sector. We're seeing impacts on investor sentiment and, some pretty important shifts in the global energy supply chain.
Okay, so let's get into it. What are the core catalysts Goldman Sachs is pointing to here?
Well, they identify three main areas. First off, new contracting activity in the uranium supply chain.
Okay.
Second, there are several agreements popping up around small modular reactors, SMRs, particularly in the UK.
SMRs, right.
And third, some pretty significant comments from the U.S. Energy Secretary about boosting domestic capacity.
Got it. Let's unpack that first one then, the uranium supply chain. What's the key news there?
So the report highlights Cameco, that's ticker CCJ. They've finalized an 8-year supply agreement. It's for UF6.
UF6, uranium hexafluoride.
Exactly, yeah. It runs from 2028 to 2036, supplying Slovensky Elektron for 5 reactors over in Slovakia.
That sounds substantial. And the report suggests this might boost optimism for restarting the Springfields facility in the UK.
It does. Cameco has a 49% stake there with Westinghouse. So yeah, it's seen as a positive sign for that potential restart. And adding to that momentum, U.S. Energy Secretary Wright spoke at the IAEA conference.
The International Atomic Energy Agency's big meeting.
Right. And she really stressed the need to increase strategic uranium reserves and critically domestic enrichment capacity here in the U.S.
Which builds on earlier moves, right? Like
Yeah.
the first Trump administration's proposal back in 2020,
Yeah.
and then those contracts in 22 for U.S. producers.
Precisely. Companies like Energy Fuels, UUU, and Uranium Energy Corp, UEC, got contracts then.
And doesn't this line up with UEC setting up that new corporation, the United States Uranium Refining and Conversion Corp?
It aligns perfectly. Their whole focus is exploring new domestic refining and conversion facilities. It's clearly part of a bigger policy push towards more self-reliance in the fuel cycle.
Okay, so that's the supply side. What about the SMRs, small modular reactors? You mentioned the UK.
Yes, the report flags 3 key agreements for SMR deployment over there. And interestingly, this coincided with some broader U.S.-UK tech and energy deals announced just before President Trump's visit.
Okay, what are the specific deals?
Well, you've got Centrica and X-Energy announcing a joint development agreement for advanced modular reactors.
Advanced reactors, okay.
And then TerraPower is planning to collaborate with KBR. They want to build a natrium plant in the UK.
The natrium design, right, that uses liquid sodium coolant, seen as potentially safer.
Correct. And maybe the most novel development is EDF and Holtec revealing preliminary plans to, build data centers powered by SMRs.
Data centers. Now that's interesting. A totally new application, really.
It really is. Shows a high demand sector looking at nuclear for reliable, maybe carbon-free power.
Okay, so pulling this all together, the supply deals, the SMR traction, what's the immediate market takeaway for investors, especially for names like CCJ and UEC that Goldman has buy ratings on?
Well, the market reaction was pretty strong. The report notes nuclear stocks were up, on average, about 10% today.
10%. That's huge compared to the S&P 500.
Absolutely. The S&P was up, less than 0.5%. So it definitely shows strong investor sentiment. And Goldman maintaining those buy ratings on CCJ and UEC underscores that view. They see potential for continued growth here.
And looking a bit broader, these SMR agreements, especially powering data centers, does that signal a bigger strategic shift for nuclear beyond just grid power?
I think it does. It suggests, growing policy support, financial backing becoming more real. SMRs are looking more like a viable, flexible option. And that data center application, it really highlights nuclear's potential to meet these massive growing energy needs from sectors that absolutely need reliability. And carbon-free power is a huge plus.
Right. So moving beyond specific companies, let's touch on that emphasis from the U.S. Energy Secretary again. The push for domestic uranium, domestic enrichment. What does that signal for long-term energy security?
It signals a pretty clear strategic commitment, I'd say. A move towards greater energy independence, building resilience by reducing reliance on foreign suppliers.
So bolstering national security through the fuel cycle itself.
Exactly. It supports the idea of sustained long-term investment all along the domestic nuclear fuel supply chain. Makes this current momentum feel perhaps a bit more durable than maybe past cycles.
Okay, last question. Let's bring this down to the everyday level. For the general public, what's the practical impact of all this activity in the nuclear sector?
Well, ultimately, if you have a stronger, more diverse nuclear energy sector, it contributes to a more stable, more reliable electricity grid.
Which could mean more predictable energy prices.
Potentially, yeah. It could help mitigate some of that price volatility, you see. And fundamentally, it supports the critical infrastructure we all rely on, including those data centers that, power so much of our digital lives now.
It's a compelling picture, a rapidly evolving landscape where policy, tech, and economics seem to be aligning for nuclear. So we'll leave you with this thought to consider. As global energy demands keep rising and the need for reliable carbon-free power becomes ever more critical, could this renewed momentum mark nuclear's definitive comeback? A primary, scalable solution for both national security and industrial growth. Something to think about.